Hey, good morning, YouTube. It is Sunday, April 2nd, 2017. And today we're doing a few upgrades to my brand new 2017 carry-on trailer. So I picked this up last week. I've been looking for a trailer for a couple of years that was all metal. I was trying to buy, a used one, not spend a bunch of money. But everybody that has a used one thinks they're gold for some reason, and just want a ton of money for them. So I've had many small trailers over time, and when you've had so many different trailers, you kind of get an idea of the trailer you'd really want. The last one I had was I had modified to be 4 foot wide by 9.5 feet long, and going forward I knew that what I really wanted was a 5 foot wide, because loading lawn tractors, garden tractors, some quads even with bigger tires on them, had a tough time going through 4 foot wide trailer. So next one's going to be 5 foot wide, and I got tired of replacing plywood sides and plywood floors and all that, just because my trailer's got to sit outside, and here in Oregon, it rains, and then this year it has just rained, and wood decks rot out. So my next trailer is going to be all steel, with the possible exception of maybe just putting like an overlay wood floor in it that would be very easy to change instead of an all-weekend project. So I looked for used, couldn't find one that was decent, that fit the bill, that was priced right. So I started looking at new. I went to every store here in where I live, the Home Depot, Lowe's, all that, to find all steel trailer 5x8, something light enough I can roll it around with one hand. I'll have to drag them out of behind my shop, which, I have a lot of campers and trailers and things, but I have to bring them out with my garden tractor to get them out front where I have room for a vehicle to hook them up. I can get a vehicle back here, but I can't maneuver a trailer back here with a vehicle. So I just tow them out front with my garden tractor. I guess that's okay, but it's still a pain if the weather's bad and all of that, if you're in a hurry. So I wanted one I can grab with one hand and drag it out where I need it, hook it up, and go. So went to all the stores. They were priced between $800 and $1,200 for a 5x8, depending on the floor and so forth. Or you can step up by a beautiful aluminum trailer for, the sky's the limit. But I don't need it that often. I just couldn't see spending that kind of money. So this is what I decided I was hunting for, but I thought I could do better price-wise. So I actually went online, looked at all of the big box stores online, and came across Lowe's, and this was actually $100 cheaper just being online, and then they stuck it on sale, and it was like an internet sale, and I bought this trailer for $599, and it was already at my local store, which is less than a mile from my shop, and so I purchased the trailer online, and after work stopped by my local Lowe's and picked up my new trailer. So it's a 2017 model. You get a title with it, which here in Oregon, if this trailer doesn't weigh over 1,800 pounds, I don't need to license it. But if I ever sold it out of state, sometimes the rules change. It's a nice little trailer. It's got some little things welded there, some little angle iron, so you can hook tie-down straps to it. I like the way the tailgate latches. The hinges have Zerk fittings on them. The angle iron frame, little reflectors in the back, some reflector tape, whatever. Just standard taillights, if those get beat or burn out, we'll just throw some LED versions of that same light on there. I thought these little Carlisle tires are the cheapest little thing I've ever seen. I did a little research, and as far as a 480 by 12 inch tire, it's actually not a bad tire. They're rated for 960 pounds. I think it's a 6-ply rated. And so I'm actually trying to match that up so I can put a spare on this. I may have to go back to carry-on trailers to get that. But if you start looking at the little details, look at that. They put an all-steel valve stem in the wheel. It's a 5-lug hub. It's a decent axle. This is a made in USA trailer. The fit and finish on it's pretty good. Not perfect, pretty good. And they even, the little pinstripes there, that's actually paint. They actually paint them on. I'm sure they got a little roller there. They paint them on. They rounded the corners there a little bit so it doesn't rip and gouge when you walk by there a little bit. A few of the upgrades that we're doing with the trailer today is, of course, this mesh deck isn't going to cut it for everyday use. It's just going to bow and sag. There's a lot of reviews on the trailers online. Everybody likes them other than that deck, but then again, a wood deck you get to replace. So I thought what I'd do is just overlay it. I know it's 5 wide, but I'm going to overlay it with a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and which I picked up this morning. And per my discussion I had with my father-in-law, I'm actually doing inside my step van a roof coating on the inside to act as sound deadener, insulation, keep it from sweating. It's going on the steel sheet metal walls and ceiling inside of here. I've actually rolled on 2 coats this morning. And I'm just trying to build it up like an undercoating, if you will. I actually picked up 3 5-gallon buckets of this stuff on closeout at Lowe's for $30. And I just thought I'd just keep rolling that on and rolling that on. And my father-in-law said, why don't you just use that roof coating on this plywood? And I was like, not a bad idea. The stuff is sticky as all hell. I get it on my hands. It takes forever and a day to get it off of there. So it should be good for that. So I started off on the underside and gave it a real good heavy coat on the underside, flipped the plywood over, and I've got like 4 coats on this thing. It's just finally we get a sunny day. It's been raining for 6 months, and it's drying real good. So I probably will give it another coat. It's building up nice, a little bit of texture going on. I don't know if you can see it in the video. So that'll be the plywood that goes over, and I'll just put, maybe 6 screws down through the steel, or carriage bolts and nuts or something. Whatever it is going to be real easy to change, because it's not going to last forever. I hope it lasts somewhere between 5 and 10 years. But when I need to replace it, it'll be easy. It'll be an hour job instead of a weekend project. So there we go. So the other things I'm doing is it came with a 1 7/8 coupler, which I'm sure is just fine if this is the only trailer you got. And I unfortunately have tons of trailers, and I don't have any trailers with an 1 7/8. So I spent half an hour or so grinding that one off. And I will attest to the welds on this trailer are pretty damn good. This was not an easy chore to grind that thing off of there. They had that thing welded underneath, up, over, down, underneath again. And I worked a pretty good half an hour to grind the welds off of that thing, cold chisel and a big hammer, knock it off, and then clean it up. So I picked up a 2-inch coupler because that'll match most of my trailers. I only have my enclosed car trailer and my flatbed car trailer have 2 5/16 balls, but all my other trailers and so forth have 2-inch balls. So let's just keep that to 2 sizes and not 3. I have enough trouble with 2. So I think what I'll do is weld the back side of this and drill it through and put a couple of grade 8 bolts through there and not weld it under the side. The wiring's already in there. Don't want to overheat anything either. So that'll be good. That won't take very long. They did have the wiring coming through the tongue, which is great. And the wiring, they actually welded on pipes. Can you see that? Alongside to keep the wiring safe. So good design. Everything's pretty well tucked up in there, but they did have the bare wires kind of cascading down over the top of that, and that's not going to last very long. So I put it in a rubber jacket. It was just a flat 4. All my vehicles have a standard RV, so I just had an adapter that picked up at a yard sale or something, and we'll just leave that adapter on there as I have on other rigs, through just a bunch of tape on there to keep that from brazing there. And then I really wanted a tongue stand on this thing so it didn't sit around in the dirt, and I could jack the tongue up and just keep the rain off of it. And I knew I had picked one up at a yard sale like 20 years ago. I remembered where they were, and I actually have 2 of them. So I'll clean this up, you've probably seen these. I'll just weld it to the underside of the tongue, and you know, it just pulls down and out, and then this can actually extend down and up and down, and you can change the height. So those are real quick. Instead of putting one of those ones that screw down that, you know, take 5 minutes worth of jacking, you know, it's like on the front of all of my other trailers. This trailer is just not heavy enough to need that, and that's the quick and easy way to put a tongue stand on. So that's what we're going to do today. Here in a couple hours we'll have this all wrapped up. I'll weld the tongue on, get a bolt or two through there, and we'll weld that tongue stand on, cleaned up, shoot some black paint on it. There's a few little scuffs there on the tongue. We'll touch that up a little bit. We'll get that plywood laid into the trailer. Probably have to do just a couple notches for those hinges. Did I mention those hinges have Zerk fittings on them? So that's a good deal. I've built trailers with that type of hinge on them with a rod and some pipe, and over the winter they rust shut. So, and that would be that. I do need to pick up a spare. I'll probably just get a mount that clamps to the tongue and mount the spare, and then after that I think this trailer's good to go. So relatively few upgrades or modifications to make it like I want it. I think it's going to be a fantastic little trailer. Very handy to have, hauling, you know, lawnmowers and pressure washers and whatever. You don't want to deadlift up into the back of a pickup. Just throw it up in the trailer, easy to strap them down. I'm sure I'll have lots and lots of uses for it. I'll get years and years of good service. So again, $599. This is a carry-on trailer. I think you can get them at Lowe's, Home Depots, etc. Made in USA. I think it's very well built. It's a great value for the money. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.